Have you been wanting to make big changes in your life?
On today's show, we're going to be talking about reinventing yourself and how you can do that. Stay tuned.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And our show's about inspiration, motivation, and developing the mindset to live a happy and abundant life.
We are live here every Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. If you guys would like to get reminded each time we're on the show, make sure you turn on that little bell notification if you're watching on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and click that little bell so you never miss an episode and know when we post a new video. So today, we're talking about reinventing yourself, reinventing ourselves to make the big change that we want in our life. But before we get into our content of today, we always like to start off with our first segment of our show, which is our inspirational moment with Veronica.
So inspirational moments is when I like to read something inspirational. And today I have a writing that I did after one of my meditations. It says, as you still your mind and your body, notice what you feel. The peace and calmness is surrounding you. Enjoy the moment of your solitude. The light within you is yearning to be expressed. That's what your spirit desires. Fully expressing who you truly are is so freeing. You were molded by your experiences and by what you were taught as a child. But now is the time to let go of what no longer serves you and express the divine light within you. Allow yourself to express your divinity and step into beingness. Be the bright light. Express your wonderful gifts you were given to help the world. The people need to be guided in the right direction. There's too many people who are unhappy and don't know their purpose. Light the path for those who are in the dark, and they will soon find their way. The light will give them hope, and they will realize it was within them too the entire time.
Ooh, I like that one. I like all of them. And if you guys like that too, give us some hearts, give us some likes. Type here in the comments, yes, I like the inspirational moment here today. And it's interesting because we find when we read those inspirational moments that it applies to a lot of us. Mm-hmm. And that we are molded as we are growing up. We are programmed by our society, our parents, our peers, and that shapes who we are. And if we want to learn how to make those big changes in our lives, then we have to identify and look back. What is it that we need to change? Is there a new belief system that I need to implant? Is there some new thoughts? Do I need to let go, as you were saying? Do we need to let go of things that we've been holding on to that no longer serve us in our life? And if that resonates with you, type yes here into the comment feed. We'd love to hear your feedback. And that's what the inspirational moment's all about.
And it goes... it ties in with today's topic of the day is reinventing yourself. It's like, what do we need to let go of to become that person that we want to be? That vision that we have of ourselves stepping into something greater.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. That was the inspirational moment with Veronica today here on the show. I hope you guys have really enjoyed that. I want to say hello to a few people that are joining with us right now here on the show. We got Mike Chavez that says, Mike. Great morning. Yes, it is a great morning.
Yes, it is.
Daryl Centel is joining us. Says, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for joining with us. If you're new to the show, type new here into the comment. We'd love to say hello to you. Also, let us know where you're coming in from. Like to see where everybody comes in from. We get people from all over the world, which is very fascinating. Every time we do these shows, we do these lives. Whether you're watching the live right now or you're watching the recording, let us know where you're coming in from. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, we get people from like Florida, from the UK, just all over the US, all over the world. And it's just interesting to see where you guys are coming from.
Yeah. So let's get into our topic for today. And again, if you guys have any questions, let us know here into the comment feed as well. And we will get that to the best of our ability. We have Daryl that he's saying he's from the Houston area, coming from Texas. And I think Mike might be coming in from Nevada, Las Vegas. Yeah. And we're here in sunny San Diego. Oh, it's a little overcast here this morning. But we love hearing and seeing where everybody's coming in from. So today we're talking about reinventing yourself, reinventing ourselves,
Mhm.
because we are always looking to make changes in our life.
Mhm.
You know, we there's just that part of us that is always looking to expand, to grow, to do something new. And a lot of times when we want to make those big changes in our life, we really want to make those major shifts. The biggest thing that we really need to do is we need to change from within in order to see a different world without.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you go through those changes, like you'll feel the resistance at the beginning, because it's like you're stepping into someone that like a new role or something that you haven't done before, or stepping into like a new energy of that person that you want to become.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be uncomfortable when you're going through these changes. And, we've experienced different things like that as well. And it's, you have to, keep moving forward and don't allow the uncomfortable feelings to set you back and to keep you where you are, because that's what, negative energies want to do, is keep you where you're at. And, when you can push through it and move forward, it's so much freeing. You feel so
Mhm.
much free once you move past it.
But the biggest challenge that we find, and I speak from personal experience, and anytime I've started to make a major shift in my life, and I'm always working on changes, and how can I improve things, and how can I be a better person? How can we improve our show? How can we improve our business? Always looking to expand and to grow. And there have been some major times in my life when I really had to really change some major things, especially when, I was trained and studied to be a chiropractor. I was in the medical field, and I had a practice. And when I decided to let that practice go, and it was like, okay, at that time, what is it that I truly want to do in my life? And it was a big change and big shift, because I had this identity of who I was, but I knew that there was something more that I wanted to do. And I really had to sit down and really just go within myself, through meditation, journaling, and what do I want to change? What is it that I want to shift? Who do I want to become? And what came out of that was so much. But in that process, there was a lot of resistance, of doing things completely different. But we get so caught up in our daily routine, our habits. And a lot of times when we want to change something and do something new, it can be very scary in the moment.
Yeah. And I think, look, with everything going on right now with the COVID and everything, I think that's it's almost pushing people to do that, because now they have to do things completely different. So people who had maybe live events, if you're in the personal development world, and you had, a stage where people come and speak, and just big groups of people, now you have to shift and do this completely different. And, some people aren't used to doing things online, or they're not used to that big change all of a sudden. Sometimes people like to do change gradually, but it's like you're forced to like completely change in right away. Otherwise, your business or things that you're doing could just stop. And there's been a lot of businesses out there that have had to close the doors because they didn't know how to create that shift and that change that was needed.
And that brings up a point about, what causes us to make those changes, what allows us to make those big shifts in our life. And there's two of them. One is like a major emotional impact. COVID was a major emotional impact. People were forced to change and do something different. The other is the constant state repetition, is doing something over and over again until you re-change the program that is within our subconscious mind, our habits, the way we always do things. And to do something completely different, we have to implant a new habit, and we have to do that over and over and over and over again until that becomes an unconscious process. And so this concept of changing and reinventing who we are, and there's a lot of us out there, and a lot of people that we know that they're looking to make something big. They're looking to make a big change in their life. They may know what that is. They may not know what that is. But it's what do we really want to do? And that was a big question for us, is what do you want to do in your life? What is it that you want to create? And for me, I remember like a lot of my driving force of my purpose and motivation to do things, a lot of it was based off of what would other people think, and always looking for the advice of other people. Is this a good move that I should take? What do you think about this? And if they were, if I saw there was excitement in them, I knew, oh, I want to go there because that made them excited.
But it wasn't fulfilling you. What made you excited? What made you happy?
And there's a part of it that would, but then there's times I found, why is it not as fulfilling as I thought it would be? Because maybe I wasn't doing it exactly for me, or maybe my purpose or my why was not congruent with what I was doing. And so when that first question came to me, and this is years ago, like, what would you love to do in your life? What would you love? Who would you love to be? What would you love to do? What would you love to have? And if you have all the resources available to you, you had the money, you had the time, you had the skills, like, what would you love to do? And I think a lot of people in the first part of that, the limitations may get in the way. Oh, I don't know if I can do something like that. But when we do this exercise, is you imagine in your mind is, what would you love to do? If you could do it, what would you love to do? And that's when I got creative. And I go back to this exercise. And when I do that, it feels like the life comes back within me. And if you do this, you'll feel it. You'll know that it's right for you because you can feel it. And it's a great exercise. It's simple, but it's a powerful exercise.
And there's some other questions like that you can ask yourself when going through this is like, is this ego driven? Because sometimes when people do things that are more ego driven, and when you reach that goal, then it's almost like you're left empty. Like there's still something within you that it's like, oh, okay, like I did this, now what? And it's almost like there's something else, something greater. And for the most part is, it's like when you help other people and when you serve others, that's when, like, that never ends. Like that good feeling never ends. So you can, do things to help others, to serve others. And, you're going to hear like stories of people and the way you help them. And it's like, wow, like I was able to help them and to make a change or whatever it is. And that's, at least for me, that's more fulfilling than to get like a certificate or a trophy to say, oh, I did this.
Yeah. And those are all effects of the service and things that we do. And when we're looking to do anything, whether it's maybe you wanted to create a business, maybe you want to, really develop or strengthen your family or attract that great relationship that you're looking, you've been wanting in your life, is a lot of times we feel like we have to do more things. And in a sense, the action step definitely is important, but it's one piece of the puzzle. And when we're talking about reinventing ourselves, is what is it within all of us, if we want to achieve something that we've never achieved before, or do something different, is who do we need to become in order to be that person who's achieving all these things or having these things in our life? And that's the starting point, is what do we need to change? We need to change our belief systems. We might need to change and let go of old behaviors that no longer serve us, because those are the habits, everything that we've been doing up until this point, and the results you're getting in your life are just the sum total of all those actions. Everything we've been doing, it's a combination of our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors, and what we've been doing that has led to the results we're getting at today. And as we mentioned before in our shows, if the results that you're getting are exactly what you've been looking for and you're satisfied with that, keep doing that. You're doing something right.
Yeah.
But if you find that it's not working out the way you thought it would, or you find yourself getting frustrated a lot with things and it's not going the way you hope things could be, then there's something different we need to do. And a lot of times that starts from within.
Yeah, for the most part it does, because it's like we have to change ourselves on the inside, how we think, how we feel about things, our perceptions, and it's like, do we have all the facts on things to make a clear decision of what something is? And a lot of times we create stories in our mind that stop us from doing things, or we create stories about other people, and so it maybe you're you're presented with an opportunity, but because of that story that's going on in your mind, you back off, or you don't take opportunities. But it's like we are where we are right now in this moment, and the journey that we have, moving forward, that's the time that we need to enjoy. It's enjoy those steps leading up to the goal, enjoy those steps leading up to, that person that you're becoming.
Yeah. It was interesting because I had gotten back into reading the book Think and Grow Rich again. And I'll go back and forth with this, and I'll pick up some pieces, and just inspired to go back and read it, another time. And I find when I go back to a book that it really has a lot of good information, I pick up something new that I didn't pick up before. And part of that is I've had different experiences since the last time that I read that, and things that I may know intellectually. I go back and read it, and it sinks in deeper because I've had the experience. And now it's like, now I know what the author is talking about. Now I know what he means by these. And this concept of reinventing ourselves is, when we want to make a change, is we can do that at any moment. Again, if you're unsatisfied with something, now we can change that now.
Yeah.
But it's, I was reading the story of Thomas Edison, and when they're talking about how when he wanted to create the light bulb and get rid of oil lamps so he can create electricity and create light through electricity, is he was trying to figure out how to do all this. And he had an idea in his mind, and he went working on it and started to create ways to do that. And it was said that he failed about 10,000 times before he got it right. He didn't quit after the first time. So he tried it. He worked a few things out, didn't work out. So he went back, tried it again. That didn't work. Let's try it. Let's go back to the drawing board and redo this and reinvent that and make it better until we get it right.
Because he knew that he could see it in his mind, so he knew he can do it. But what I heard is he didn't fail. He just figured out 10,000 ways how to not do something.
And so that's an analogy of our life. Is
how you see it, how you perceive it.
Like you are that shite, that bright shining light. That's what that meant. It was like all of that put together. And you're looking to create that light and shine it so it always shines bright. But how do we get to that point? Is a lot of times we go through those challenges. We have to learn how to do things differently, and we stumble, things don't work out, and it's important for us to go back to the drawing board. Where do we mess up? Where can I make some changes so I can get the equation right until I get to my destination, until what I see in my mind is now manifested into reality here, because everything starts in thought. And so when we're reinventing is, we can always reinvent. We can start with little things in ourselves to help improve our life or make things better for ourselves and also for other people.
Yeah, and the thing is that we're never gonna stop. Like, it never ends. Like you reach a goal, and then you create a new goal. So this process of life, this journey, it doesn't stop until you leave the world. But even then it doesn't stop because we're infinite. Yeah. So it's like our life is like we can create it any way we want, but it all starts in our thoughts. And it's like our journey leading up to everything, if we're not enjoying that process, we're creating more resistance and more misery for ourselves. Because especially with expectations of certain things having to be a certain way, if we're not open, if we're stuck in this box of like it has to be only this way, then it's like you create more resistance and more misery for yourself. Yeah. By not allowing. So then it might take longer before you finally realize, okay, this way isn't working, and and then you have to start over and do it again. But that's life, and it's okay. It's okay if it didn't work out and you have to start over.
Yeah. And I think what becomes self-defeating for a lot of people is all change starts in your mind. You have an idea. I see this, or I want to change this. This is what I want to have. That's an idea that you see in your mind, and you would love to achieve that. And a lot of people will stop themselves. That's the resistance. They stop themselves because of a belief system of, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not that tall. I'm not, and the list can go on of all kinds of limitations that people put on their own minds. And we do that as well, but we learn to identify those. And it's those limiting belief systems that we develop over time that can prevent us from making that change, because there might be something that's in that subconscious that says we can't make that change. We can't do something like that. And if we allow that voice, those belief systems to take hold, then we believe them as true. And it's like, oh, then I'm just not going to try.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when all those dreams, those visions tend to die in people, because of those beliefs. And where do those come from? Well, that comes from our environment. It comes from what we listen to, what we watch, and what are we being inundated on a daily basis. And are we seeing other people fail and not doing something? And we don't want to go through that experience. So I don't want to go through it either.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much that goes on. So we have to be very mindful of what we allow to enter into our mind. So you got to be, that's what we tell people, like, don't watch anything that's too negative or talking about doom and gloom all the time. But stop watching the news, be aware of what's going on, but don't get so caught up into it, because now, again, it's programming.
Yeah.
And that's what television tends to do.
Yeah, because you especially the news, you see things over and over and over, and then they're sharing the same story over and over, and like everything that's going wrong. But it's like, okay, you heard it once, you don't need to hear it like 20 times a day. It's like, just get the information and move on. But it's especially if it's something that you can't change, if it's, and you're getting frustrated over it, then, it's not worth just, getting all riled up because of it. So, the news is something that's probably not so good for you if you're going to watch it, because you don't want to get all these thoughts and negativity in your mind. Change it to something positive. Listen to an audio that's more positive, or watch videos that are more positive and that's actually going to benefit you. And then you'll start to feel different, because if you're watching the news and you're feeling tension or stress or worry, then maybe it's not the right choice for you at that moment.
Yeah, find something that makes you feel good. Daryl says, I just want to say very much appreciate y'all for putting out such positive messages in these tough times for so many. God bless. Thank you so much. And that's why we put these episodes, this show out, is because there's a lot of people that go through challenging times, regardless of what's going on right now. This has been going on for a long time, but there's a lot of people that struggle in their life. And a lot of times it could be, they've been beaten down by life. They've been beaten down by other people, and they don't feel like they're good enough, or they can achieve anything in their life. And a lot of these belief systems are false, because we are creative beings. We can create anything that we want in our life. We might have to fine tune a few things, and it may not show up exactly how we always see in our mind. But if we believe that we can do something and we really have a desire to do that, then we can find a way to do it.
Yeah.
But we have to be creative, but we also need the support of other people. But we have to really be mindful of what's going on in our mind. Yeah. We have to be encouraged and inspired as often as possible. When we have that encouragement, then it allows us to take that next step forward. And that's very important. So we have to constantly train our mind.
Yeah. And it's also be mindful of who you're talking to, because if there's people that constantly maybe put you down or tell you things that, oh, you can't do that, or things like that. And a lot of times, it can be family that puts their own limitations on you. Talk to someone who is going to tell you, you know what, you can do this. And I believe in you. Oh, I'm getting chills. And, I
believe in you.
I believe in you too. And, tell that to the person who's going to motivate you and inspire you to do greater, and who believes in you. And, but also it's really believing in yourself and having that faith that you can do this, because you are never alone, even though, physically, like, nobody's there, but you always are guided. And just go within and find that light within you, because it's always there to guide you, and just know and trust that that you can accomplish anything that you want to. And when you hear that voice saying, oh, you can't do that, it's not the light within you telling you that. That's the limitations by old belief systems and things that were programmed. But you can do anything that you want.
Absolutely. And if you guys are just tuning in with us right now, you're watching Awaken Your Spirit. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez Garcia. And today we're talking about reinventing yourself.
And, now is the perfect time to make the big changes that we always wanted to do in our life. And why do we hesitate? What's stopping us from taking that next step forward and realizing that, wow, anytime you want to make a change, I can do that now. And it all starts in a thought. It's deciding that you want to make the change. And if you find that you fall back into old habits, you just remind yourself, I can change that now. And you restart right back then when you think about it. So change can happen at any moment. Can it take some time to make some of those big changes? Absolutely. But you can't make that change until you decide to make the change.
Yeah. And get excited for that person that you want to become, or that goal you want to reach. Like you have to have that excitement leading up to it, because if you're in that worry, fear state, you're only going to attract more of that. So it's like you got to feel the joy of it, and the universe is going to reward you with more positive things that make you feel more joyful, that you feel more excited to receive. Because when you're in that fear state, it's almost like you're creating resistance with whatever you say you want to do. So when you are faced with a challenge leading up to your goal or whatever you want to do, is embrace those challenges and say thank you, because that's one way that maybe didn't work out, but at least okay, this didn't work out, so I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to take a different route. But the challenges are there to help us grow and to guide us. Like, okay, it doesn't work this way. Try a different way, and it's okay. But sometimes people beat themselves up when they're faced with the first challenge and then they give up. And it's the challenges are there to help you. And it's like, be thankful that you have like the contrast that's showing you, okay, this doesn't work. We're gonna pivot and go somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's like, just we pick ourselves back up, dust ourselves off, and take that next step forward and continue. And the way I like to look at it now is, anytime I get challenged with something,
this is good.
And most of the time it's a mental challenge. It's the mental challenge and the resistance that shows up because of when you're trying to make that change, you're going against your paradigm, and you're going to come up with resistance because you're making change, and your whole energy is like, we're not used to this, and it's going to fight with you, and the doubts, the worries, the fears will start to come up. But the way I look at it now is, wow, this is really strong. This means to me now that this is something I really need to push through, because this is what's keeping me stuck. And I realize, wow, this is important for me to really work through. And now it motivates me that this is a good thing, because it's showing me where I need to make changes. And you're going to go through that too. And anytime you're moving into a new direction, or you want to, it's like you're going from one profession and you have to completely switch. You maybe have been on the fence of changing your career, and it's like, I've never done something like that before. I'm so used to doing this, and it can be very scary and challenging because it's that unknown. But taking that step and doing it, it's like jumping out of a plane. Our brother-in-law went skydiving just a couple weeks ago, and it was like, hey, there's that fear that kicks in, but then they just jump and they do it, and they land safely, and they enjoy the process. And we also all have to take that leap of faith and just jump and do the things we say we want to do. And I think a lot of times where that resistance is the hesitation of deciding. Yeah. It's that indecision of that creates all that resistance. But once we decide to do it and just push through it, it's like, wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was, or it was, but wow, I'm glad I went through that experience, because I've changed something within me that allowed me to push forward.
Yeah, and avoid settling. Like, why are you going to settle for a job you really don't like, or just because they have benefits, or just because it's a guaranteed paycheck every single week? And I'm not saying to quit your job and just, don't have a plan, but I'm saying it's like right now is the time to be able to start something new. And if you're unhappy in your job, start something that you truly love and get it going when, and then finally you'll be able to say, you know what, I'm not doing this other job anymore because I'm changing into something that I love. And the moment you decide that you're going to do it, and things just start to flow and things will start to happen. You'll start to be maybe meeting people that can help you along the way. And it's an interesting journey, especially as entrepreneurs, like the stuff that we've been through and that process. But it's like we always have to remember to enjoy that process and enjoy where it's taking us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it can be very challenging, and we will also need support in that, and we need to find the people that will definitely support us in that vision, because sometimes we need people to hold our hands and we're not sure, and a lot of times it's that people that are encouraging us that you can do it, you can keep going. That'll help us push forward and avoid the people that will say, oh, maybe you should stop. You're this doesn't seem like it's working for you, and they're worried for you, and they're almost like discouraging you from taking that next step forward. Mm-hmm. So find the people that will encourage you, and make sure you spend most of your time around them. And if there's nobody, then you can watch things. You can watch like our show. This is something that helps to spread the encouragement, the positivity, to say that you can do anything that you want. Keep going, because we all go through this, especially as if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to go through a lot of growth and challenges. And this is what our good friend Domingo Silva's, who's been joining with us, he talks about the entrepreneur journey, is that we are all on this journey, not just as if you're an entrepreneur, but we're on this journey in life. And in that journey, just like in a movie, like there's going to be there's that beginning, the middle, and the end. And there's going to be some conflicts and things we have to break through until we come out triumphant on the other side. Mm-hmm. But we have to keep going, and we can't stop. The moment we stop, that's the point we give up our free will, because we can choose to do what we want to do. We have the free will to be who we want to be. Now, bear in mind, there are definitely some rules that we have to abide by, but realize that we want to reinvent ourselves. We want to create something new in our life. We have the ability to choose and do that.
Yeah. And also there's, things that we can do to help us is collaborate with people. Like some of the successful people out there, they didn't do it alone. They collaborated with people. Like we were watching this thing on how they created the movie Frozen 2. And there was a lot of collaboration within, with that creation of that movie. And I think one of the main guys collaborated with another lady, and they made it happen. And even with deadlines and things like that, there was so many people working on this movie, and it took them 4 years or something.
That's about a 4-year process. And you're talking over about 400 people that worked on this project. And it was fascinating to see this, and it's on Disney Plus right now, and we just caught it this last couple of days. But it was very inspiring because, the whole concept of Disney and Walt Disney and the things that he was able to create should be inspiring, because he always said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And he had a big vision, and he went through a lot of challenges, from bankruptcies to all kinds of stuff. People tell him he couldn't do it,
and he was living on the streets for a while, and it's interesting to see, when you know the backstory and to what he created. It's amazing, to create this whole world of Disneyland and Disney World. It's just amazing.
And going back to the show of the making of the movie Frozen 2, which I thought was a really good movie, and it did very well. But the behind the scenes of how they went to create this and it started as an idea, and to bring the right people together to help to take that vision into reality. And they went through a lot of revisions, a lot of changes, a lot of setbacks as well. Mm-hmm. And when they thought they had it right, and then they went to go test it with other people, see what do you guys think about this? And it was the feedback that came back, and oh, this is too confusing, it's not working. And it's they could definitely shut down, this is not a good day. We thought we had it, and people didn't like it. So they had to go back to the drawing board and put in more work. And what's even interesting is, some of the animators that would spend like 2 months working on this one little scene to make this animation. And because it didn't work in the movie, they had to cut it out. And they're interviewing them and saying, like, wow, like, we spent a lot of time, a lot of hours working on this one little scene. And they're not going to use it.
Yeah.
But they said that's the name of the game. But they also said that they understood that we have to, as an environment, realize that's an important part, because we're all here to make it even better. And if it's not working, that's okay. Even though it might be a little disappointing at first. And that's like our life too.
That is, yeah. Because there's things that we're, working towards, and you get those challenges that say, okay, well, this didn't work. And, some people call it mistakes, but, for others, it's learning experiences, and that's all it is. And we have to embrace that and don't let it bring us down or stop us from doing it.
Absolutely. And so reinventing yourself, what is it that you want to create in your life? Is there something that you would love to reinvent within you that would make the biggest change? Something you've been really dreaming about. It's kind of been an idea for a while, and maybe you want to improve your health. Maybe it's you want to create something in your business or in your career, or change that, or start something. Maybe it's you want to improve your relationships. Maybe you want to travel, whatever that might be. Is who do you want to become in this process? Because we are all becoming something. And in order for us to achieve the vision that we see in our mind, that's at a completely different frequency. And what that means is we live on frequencies. Yeah, everything is a frequency. Just like this broadcast is on a frequency, your cell phone number is a frequency. Your vision, your dream is also on a different frequency. We may not be able to see it, but we can see it in our mind. And in order for us to be there, which means we have to be someone completely different to match that frequency, to see it in our reality. And so we are always learning to become something. We're breaking through limitations. We're letting go of old beliefs. And what happens when we start to do that, we see a whole new world fold in front of us, because it's your world. It's your perception that's changing. And that is when we start to move closer to the dream. So what is that for you? If you guys would like to share, you can put that here into the comment feed.
So in order to become who you want to be, you have to fine tune your own frequency to the frequency of what you want to become. So it's almost like you behave in the way that you see yourself wanting to become. You respond in the way that you see yourself. And and it's like being the person that you want to be before you're there. In a sense, like you could see it in your mind, but you have to really feel it. Like, this is who I am. And then when you can feel that on a daily basis, it takes you closer to that person.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it's like, because it's almost like rehearsing that role of becoming that person. After a while, it becomes normal, and it just feels normal. And then you're already there.
Yeah, because when you're visualizing what you want to accomplish, what's going to happen is your thoughts are going to change, your belief system is going to change. You're going to feel different around that goal. And again, when we want to make that change, we have to do that repetitively until it's like that becomes a part of us, and we constantly see it until also we see it manifest into our reality. And when you think different, when you feel different, your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, then that inspires you to take the right types of action steps to help move you closer to that goal. And that's what's very important. Is we always tell people, it's not only about the action stuff, because we see people that do stuff all the time. They stay busy, but they get nowhere. And it's doing the right action. It's doing the inspired action that's going to help you move toward that goal. But you have to have the right thoughts. You have to have the right feelings, and do the right things in order to attract what you want in your life.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when you're reinventing yourself, is do an evaluation of where you are now, where you want to be, and just take that first step. And it's deciding what you want to do, who you want to become. And once you make that decision, like we said, things start to fall into place. But it's having the faith and knowing that you can do that. And all the naysayers that try to bring you down, and like, avoid even telling them, or If they do know and start to tell you things, it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they think. The only one that should matter is you and what you want to do, accomplish, and become.
Yeah. And just, you got to pay attention to the thoughts that go on through your mind on a consistent basis, because you're going to get challenged mentally, emotionally, when you're making a different change, because you're battling old habits. And it takes a while to change those habits, because again, our brain likes to do things by default. And when we start to move in a different direction, we do things differently. We're thinking differently. We're trying to feel different. We're doing things that are different. Then it takes a lot of mental energy to create that change. And so you want to start a little bit at a time, not do too many things at once, because it can become overwhelming. And that's when people will just stop, like it's too hard, it's too difficult. So one little step that we can take forward. And for us, we realize that if we understand that everything starts in thought, maybe that first step is I need to think a little differently. Maybe evaluate the thoughts that go into my mind, evaluate my belief systems around the thing or who I want to become. And when you find that there's any limitations or doubts that go on, then that's okay. Wow, that's there. Let's work through that so I don't think that same thing, because that's the language that's going on in your mind that's going to prevent you from moving forward.
Yeah, and it's the awareness of what you're listening to, what you're watching, things like that, because that plays a big role in where you are or where you want to become, or what you want to become. Because what you watch on TV, what you listen to, it makes you feel a certain way. And if there's like a lot of negativity in the things you're listening to, and the people you hang out with, and the movies that you watch, it's changing your vibration, and it could either bring you closer or pull you farther away from what you want. So it's really having that awareness of what you're taking into your subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind is really the one who dictates and who makes pretty much all the decisions, and that's the feeling mind. So it's how you feel as you're moving forward through things.
Yeah, you want to feel as good as good and inspired as possible.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself frustrated, if you find yourself in doubt, or not enjoying it at all, then again, you're creating resistance. Does that mean you can't get to that certain point? Not necessarily, but a lot of times what will happen is maybe you'll achieve it and it slips away from you. We find people that want to achieve something and they have this mental resistance where they do the action steps that are required and they achieve their goal. But one thing they find is maybe they're not happy, or it's not as satisfying as I thought it would be. I got to the point. I'm grateful for that, but it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. Or they achieve it and it doesn't last very long. And there's so many different scenarios.
Yeah, and then there's people that do take the steps that that work for someone. That some other person said, "Well, I did this and it worked for me." Another person follows in those steps. Okay, I did this, this, and this, but it doesn't work. And why is that? It's because of how we think and how we feel. If we're thinking in lack mentality, and thinking that we can't have certain things because of money or whatnot, now how are you supposed to receive more when you feel just because your circumstances in the moment in your bank account, it's not showing the numbers that you want to see, and you're allowing that to dictate what you can have or what you can't have. So it's really being aware of how we're thinking. So if there's something that you want, but say it costs a lot of money, then instead of saying, "Oh, I can't have that," say, "What can I do to have that?" Or what, how much do I need to save up, to have that? Like, there's always ways in which you can have something. So don't allow the current circumstances to dictate that.
Yeah, because you probably don't know what the how is.
Yeah.
Allow the how come to you. Just know that that's what you want, and keep focusing on that. And you focus on that on a daily basis until you'll start to notice that subtle things will begin to change and shift in your life. You'll attract different people, but you want to feel good as possible, and that's the biggest thing. And we go deeper into this in our work when we teach people how do we truly manifest what we want to achieve in our life. Or that's manifesting, a great relationship. We want to manifest the career that we want. We want to manifest more income, more happiness. That's a big one. Just, there's a lot of people that want to just be happy. And how can we do that? But it all starts in a thought process. And this is what we really teach. And, and we're reinventing a few things right now. We're not going to share that with you in this moment, but just let you know that we're always looking on how can we grow, how can we expand, and how can we make things even better for you, the audience who watches, because we're here to help you. We're here to serve. But also we're looking to do what would we love to do, and what's important for us, and what do we share, and we want to share that with you. But we're gonna announce that very shortly as we're putting things together right now. But it's exciting, because we realize that, hey, we decided what do we want to do, and we can change that, and it just takes a decision. Okay, let's do this. And I know you guys can do that too.
Yeah, and we've had people come to us and say, well, I've followed these steps, and I've invested in myself and spent thousands of dollars, and I'm still stuck here, and I don't have money, and in that whole situation. But it's really, it comes down to themselves, and a lot of people, maybe they don't feel valuable enough, or like they deserve certain things, or what was told to them as a child. And, what was it like, oh, you can't have that because we don't have money. There's so many different things that, that create the way we think. Like as a child, things are said to us, and then we start to believe it. Like, oh, we can't have that because there's no money. So it starts to get ingrained in the mind. And it's like, well, what can we do to be able to have that? Like, is there something, like maybe I just need to, sell something that I'm not using anymore, and then there's extra money, and you just don't know how it's going to come. This was it last year when my daughter wanted to go to Disneyland. And she's like, I want to go to Disneyland. And she kept saying it. Okay. Well, for a while. Yeah, for a while. And we're like, what can we do, to go there? Like maybe there's, we can save up some money and go. And then this one time we were at Smart and Final, and they had these little coupons at the checkout, and it said register or something like, fill out this or fill out the form for a sweepstakes to go to Disneyland. I'm like, okay. So I filled it out, or I think I did it online. And then I told my daughter, I go, you put it out there that we're going to win. Like, we won this. She's like, okay. And then she was like, thinking about it. And then like a couple months later, I get this email saying you won the sweepstakes. We're like, what? Won 4 free tickets to go to Disneyland. And that's like, I think like at least $600 value. $500 to $600 value. Yeah. So it was interesting to see that manifestation of like, okay, we want to go to Disneyland. How are we going to make this happen? Hey, look, there's a sweepstakes, and why not? Like it can't hurt. It only takes like a minute to fill out the thing, or maybe less. And then we won. So it was really amazing to experience that. And what's even more amazing with that is, so we finally got the tickets in the mail, and then we decided at first we were thinking, well, maybe because it was good for the whole year, and we said maybe we'll go towards the end of the year. We'll see what our schedule is, and she really wanted to go, so we said, okay, let's go maybe in like a next week or something, and so we planned it. And so we went, we had a great time. And within a month, so this was in February that we went. And then what happens? COVID-19 happens. Disneyland shuts down. Yep. Nobody can go to Disneyland. They're about to open up here in a couple of weeks here, but it's going to be different. So if we had waited to go, I don't even know if we would be able to get in, because the restrictions are going to be like really crazy, but we had the opportunity to go. It was a great day. It wasn't hot. She got to bring a friend. With her, and then we enjoyed the day. And then like a few weeks later, Disneyland shuts down because of the whole COVID-19. So it's like, we never know how things are going to happen, but there's opportunity that's always around us, and we need to be able to jump on that opportunity when we can. And if we miss one, and that'll happen, another one will take its place. But you pay attention to that.
All right. So I want to say hello to a few people that have been joining with us as we've been talking. So Tiffany says, I
Hey,
just caught you
Tiffany.
guys. Cranky baby issues.
Aw.
She says, stuck, yes. Always feels like I'm waiting or holding myself back. Yeah. And we are the ones that do that.
Yeah.
And we just have to figure out why. What is holding us back? There's something there at an unconscious level that maybe we're not aware of that keeps us from moving forward. And a lot of times it's a belief system in some way.
Yeah.
We have Abigail who's
Hi,
joining us. She says hello. She says, sorry, I missed you guys. I guess I'm here for my message. Yeah, you're never too late. Tiff says, I came late too, but always come for a message. So we're
awesome.
never late. And that's when we're talking about when we're wanting to reinvent ourselves, when we're wanting to make big changes. And she says, I believe we always show up at the right time.
Yeah.
And that was going to my point is maybe in this moment or in the past, like earlier, so like 20 minutes ago, the message wasn't right for you in that time. But you tune in and it's exactly where you need to be in that moment.
It's like when you open the book of where you left off and then it's like, wow, like this is exactly what we're going through in this moment. And it's like perfect timing.
Yeah, and I think when people feel like, well, I missed my chance. I missed my opportunity. No, you didn't.
There's always a replay.
There's always a replay. There's always a new opportunity that's going to take its place. And this is why Veronica and I mentioned, like, if something doesn't work out when we were, in that process of moving, and maybe there was a place that didn't work out that we didn't get, and we were like, what, something better is going to take its place. So let's not get disappointed because the one thing that we said we wanted didn't come to fruition. Something better will come.
So Tiffany says, what do you have for us, Aaron? Let's have it.
Well, let me tell you, Tiffany. But that's what we're talking about is, the timing will be there when it's ready for you. When you make that change within you, then you're ready for it. And the opportunity will show up, when you least expect it. But when you're aware of it, you're like, wow, this is the opportunity. I'm ready to take action on that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, maybe it's not the right timing or maybe there's something that you need to learn before you step into something like there's the universe it gives us things at the right time.
Yeah.
And like if like say certain things would have happened the way we wanted them to happen, but then you never know, like maybe it's kind of like if that happened, then I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
So it's just we are where we are right now and it's the perfect time.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we talk about timing. When just before Veronica and I met, there were many opportunities where we were actually supposed to meet and come together. But something always happened where we had just missed each other. And this is at the time I was living in Rosarito, Mexico. We're in San Diego, so that's about an hour and a half south of here in Mexico. I was working out of a hospital, and at that time, you were doing your thing. You were still in a previous marriage, and something we were supposed to meet at a mutual friend's house. They invited us to dinner. I was going to be there, and she was going to be there, but for some reason, you didn't go.
Yeah.
We actually went to an open house for these same friends, and you were there, but I think you had left just before I got there, or we just didn't cross paths. We just missed each other. But it was like those movies where we constantly crossed paths but didn't know it at all.
Yeah.
But when the right timing came, it worked out perfectly.
It's like the energies have to align and then it's the right time. But maybe at that time our energies were a little off or something, and then until the energies matched, and then it's like, okay, now it's time.
Yeah. And at this time we were both doing inner work. I was doing some inner work for myself. I know you were going through some stuff and changing a lot of things. And just when the energy and the emotion was right, that's when the universe said, okay, now you guys can meet. When you're looking to create that opportunity, that income, that career, whatever that is. So the universe will say, you've worked on yourself, you've let go of these things. Now you're ready. We'll give you the opportunity. And when it's there, you can choose to take action on that or not. But it's interesting when you're that we talked about divine timing. Yeah. It's like, wow, that showed up exactly the way it was supposed to happen. And when we come to that realization, we realize that there's no mistakes. They're learning experiences. And don't get bummed out because we missed one opportunity because again, another one is going to take its place. That's what the law of supply and abundance is all about.
Yeah.
And just realize something better is going to show up.
Yeah. And like we talked about, it's like, don't allow other people to bring you down, especially in something that you want to do, something that you love, because now you're allowing others to dictate what you need to do. And it's like, you feel it. And if it resonates with you, go for it. If it doesn't, then, there's always other choices you can do. But it's like, if you have that dream to do something, go for it. Like it's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. Like you can do it now and just make the decision now to do it and move forward.
And again, if you stumble and you find, that didn't work out, start again.
Yeah.
The timing is always now. We can always start and reinvent things now. We want to change something. We start with the decision to do it now. We all go through this.
And sometimes like there's certain things that that happen that it's like, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. I go, no, we're doing it now. Because then it's like, otherwise it piles up.
Tomorrow becomes tomorrow.
Yeah. And then the next day you're like, oh, like you feel like, oh, we should have done it yesterday. But it's like the moment you do it and you get it off your plate, it's like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
And we've experienced that, sometimes like you have a late dinner and then there's dishes in the sink and you're like,
and you're tired and you're like, we'll just do it in the morning.
I'm like, no, we're doing them now and just get it over with.
You're like, wash the dishes and you wake up in the morning and you're still a little tired. Like, oh,
clean sink.
I don't really feel like doing dishes. I'm glad we did that last night.
Yeah.
But in the moment, sometimes it may not seem like the right time. It's like, just take that action and you'll feel better because there's again, you're going to have to put some work into it. There's going to be some struggles, some challenges. You got to break through a few things. But when you do and you break through it, it's like, I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad I decided to do that. Even if I went through these challenges, it's like, I made it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to Tiffany. Tiffany says, before we met, I used to check people in at sports clips where my husband got his haircut, but we somehow never crossed paths until years later.
Wow.
Interesting. And just, pay attention. Like, where were you guys in your journey in that moment? And what was different the time that you guys met?
It's divine timing. Like
divine timing. Abigail says, I bumped into my husband in a bar. He was exiting the men's room as I was entering the women's room. We bumped into each other. We laughed at this, and it led to a conversation that has continued for 30 plus years.
That's awesome.
Wow. And she also says, hence the invention of the dishwasher.
We actually have a dishwasher, but we don't use it. I kind of prefer to wash them manually.
I do, but it actually goes by faster because the dishes are actually done. But we do it together.
Yeah,
we have our assembly line and we get it done pretty fast. But sometimes but even to put them in the dishwasher, you gotta sometimes rinse all the stuff off because we find that dishwashers, they don't always scrub everything off. So something I just like doing it by hand. But that's me.
They seem cleaner.
Some people love the dishwasher, and I get it.
I think like if you have like a big party and there's a lot of dishes, you put them in and then.
Well, that's when we use paper plates. You don't have to think about that.
There's always a solution.
There's always a solution. There's always a way. And so we want to thank you guys for joining with us here today on Awaken Your Spirit. And again, we've been talking about reinventing ourselves. And what are you looking to reinvent within you to make big changes in your life? What's something that you can start today that'll help you move forward towards that dream, that vision that you have, and realize that you can do that. You're going to need support. So be mindful what you watch, be mindful what you listen to. And when that little voice says you can't do it or you shouldn't do that today, just flick it off your shoulder and move forward. And
also be mindful of who you tell. Like if tell the right people, not the ones who are going to discourage you.
Yeah. And we'll love to see you guys and the big changes that you're making in your life. And let us know. We love your feedback and how the show has been helping you, what you guys love about it. And then from there, Abigail says, I use it as a dish rack. I do hand wash most of the time.
Yeah, I used to do that too. It's like wash the dishes, put them in there, and then that way they're not up on the counter. They're inside the dishwasher.
And Tiffany says, the new me is on her way. I feel like I'm in a cocoon. And
sometimes we need that. We need to put ourselves in that cocoon to really do our inner work. And it's okay if sometimes we want to do things, hurry up and do it now. But that cocoon time is essential for us to grow spiritually and internally. Like it's needed.
Yeah.
And then once you're ready, then you're going to come out even stronger than if you didn't take that time to work on yourself.
And don't force it.
Yeah.
When we try to force it, that's when I find, at least personally, that's when a lot of resistance comes. When we allow, it's easier to move through.
Yeah.
And so again, you guys have been watching Awaken Your Spirit. We're live here every Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Make sure you guys join us tomorrow, which is Thursday. We do our special show, which is our divine numerology with our guest host, Darius Oliver. So make sure you guys join in with us there. We're going to be talking about names and letters, and how your letters
like
in your
name represents.
What your name represents from numerology standpoint.
That's
so make sure you guys
awesome.
tune into that with us for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be exciting and fun.
So what does Abigail say?
We'll say last one. Let's still talk about dishes. I hate putting them away. It's always my job as a kid. I just wanted to be a rinser. I really got to rinse.
That's funny.
Be that rinser. You can do anything that you want. All right. So thank you guys for joining us again. Veronica, Numbers Days.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Numbers Day is tomorrow on Thursday. So every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. So join us on Divine Numerologies with our guest host, Darius Oliver, ourselves, and we will see you guys then.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.